attending. What we're going to do today is go over our data services product and explain some in details about why our data services product can help you running your experiments and how it works and how it integrates into FCS Express, and you'll see a little bit about how to get reports from it as well. So I see that all of our attendees have arrived. So what our data services is a way to streamline your results and reporting into one simple system. So a common problem that people have when doing flow cytometry analysis is the problem of where to put the results. So you will do experiments, you might be doing experiments over courses of many days, weeks, months, and during that time, every time you do an analysis, you've got to store your results somewhere. Do they go in Excel files? Do they go in text files, Word documents, databases? It can be hard to organize them. So what we've got with our De Novo Data Services, or DDS, is a system that integrates right into the program and takes your results and puts them onto our website. Now, it doesn't have to be our website. It can be your own home store, your own server in your location. And you use a web interface to set it up. You use a web interface to collect results. So it's very easy to see the results from anywhere, and it's very easy to upload results from different computers as well. And it's all tied in to the powerful FCS Express batch processing system. So what we'll do is, first thing I want to do is show you what it would look like to get set up. So I'm going to go into our website, and here you see the home page of our website. What I would do from our home page is go to Under Products, Data Services. Now, Data Services takes us to the page which describes everything that you can do here. So it gives you more detail that you can upload statistics, keywords, images, PDFs, and has some more screenshots and shows you a little bit about it. So this page will be a good resource for you getting started, including the various plans. But if you go back to the top of the page, you can see on the right side there is a link to log into the data services. Now I'm going to click on the link, and it shows me a username and password screen. The username and the password screen username and password by default will be the username and the password that you use to purchase and license FCS Express. However, you can also use a different username and password, and I will show you how to set that up later on. So what I'm going to do now is log in with my DDS Demo 1 at denovosoftware.com. That is my full username, and I will type in the password. I had to stop for a moment to remember the password. And when I log in, you can see that I have some experiments already set up here. So what I'm going to do is delete these experiments and show you what it looks like when you're starting from scratch. So what you would see here the first time you log in is this page. There's nothing under the experiment list, but clearly I can add a new experiment. And the experiment that I'm going to add, I'm just going to call this APO mono, and I'll press OK. And now it's going to tell me what columns do you want to set up. And when you talk about the columns you want to add, what you should be thinking of is what results do I want to report. And you can report various kind of results. You can report statistics, you can report keywords from the files, you can report PDFs or PowerPoints of the experiment. And what I will do is add a column. And now the name of my column that I'm going to do is I'm going to call this PDF report. And the data type, you can see we have a selection of data types. You can do images, you can do the full layout, and I'm going to choose the PDF document. Okay, that's the first column that I want to report in my experiment. The second column is going to be the percent positive. Now, you haven't seen what my analysis looks like in FCS Express yet, but I'm going to show you that in a minute, and you'll see that we're going to be taking the percent positive under a marker on a histogram. And what this is going to be is a token, which is a number. And I'm going to press OK. And I'm going to add a couple more columns to help identify the data files. So I'm going to choose that I want this to be a text token, and this one is going to be the date. And finally, I'm going to add one more column, and this column is also going to be a text token, and it is going to be the file name. Okay? And when I press close on here, we've set up the experiment. And you can see that on the experiments, we've got a number of items around the top. You can see I'm going to highlight them as we go down. You can add experiments, look at the details, run queries. This will be useful after we've run batch processing in FCS Express and uploaded data. You can store attachments. This is one thing you can use to store either descriptions of your experiment or data files, or you can delete experiments, which I did before. Okay, and all of these actions that are along the top bar, they're also repeated here beside the individual experiment. So if I just click on this, I'll pop up the attachment. If I click on this, I'll look at the query, and here is where the details would be. Okay? So what I'm going to do right now is go back into FCS Express and take a look at our actual experiment and set this up to allow it to export to DDS. Okay, let's move this window out of the way. So back in FCS Express, I will switch to the page 1 that actually has the analysis, and what I can do is also I'm going to take off the table of contents and switch back to the one-page view in FCS Express. Okay, so you can see the experiment, very simple. I have 4 plots. I have my forward scatter, side scatter plot where I've drawn the whole cells gate. I have a few statistics on quadrants on this plot, and on the histograms I have a few different markers. Okay, and I'm showing overlays on the histogram. Now we're not going to go through details of looking for anything in these data files. They're going to be used for illustration of how to set up the batch processing and then how to get out the data to the DDS. So what I'm going to do right now is go to the Batch tab on the ribbon in FCS Express, and then open up the batch actions. Now, the batch action window opens up and shows all of the batch actions that I have defined. Now what the batch actions are a set of things that we can do in FCS Express to report your data and results. Now this one is already set up with several of them. This one is already set up to export to PowerPoint, PDF, Excel, except these are all set up to report to local files. Now I don't want to do that this time. I want to export to the DDS. So what I will do is dock my batch processing window. So if you're new to FCS Express 4, this docking feature is a new feature. And I'm going to move my batch processing over to make it a little easier to see both the plots and the batch processing. I'll minimize this. Notice how all of these batch actions are unchecked, so I don't have to worry about running them by accident. Now, what I'm going to choose here is at the bottom of the batch processing add report, you can see export to DDS. This is what I'm going to choose. So when I click on export to DDS, it opens a window asking me for the details of DDS. So I'm going to type in the same username and password that I put in on the DDS website. So DDS demo1 at denovosoftware.com. The password is Now I have to go through my memory and remember my password again. And the experiment is called ApoMono. And the last field is called alternate URL. And I'm not going to put anything in the alternate URL. But what this is for people who are hosting their results themselves. If you do not host the result yourself, and if you are using our hosting service, then all you need to do is put in the username and password and experiment name, and it'll automatically know to upload it to our server. If you are hosting your own, then you would put in the alternate URL, and then instead of using our server, it would go to your local location. Okay, so I've created the export to DDS report now, and what I need to do is put in some items. And so one of the things was a PDF. So on the left side, under Add Item to Report, in batch processing, I'm going to add a PDF. So I click on the PDF, and let's go for highest quality. And in the column, this is the column name that has to match up with what we chose in the DDS interface. So this one was called PDF Report. And the last one is the file name. Now this file name is what it's going to be called when this file is downloaded. Because it's a PDF file, even though we're not saving it as a file, we're saving it into the database, we still need to give it a file name. So I'm going to choose a tokenized file name, and I'm going to take this from a keyword of one of these plots. We're just going to use the FIL keyword. And I say OK, and say OK. And now we have our first batch item. So we have 3 more to set up. One of them is the date, so I'm going to do that by clicking on Keyword Token. Again, I'm going to choose the first plot, and the keyword I want this time is the date. So I press OK to that. And the column name, now this is again the one that has to match what's in the DDS. I'm going to type date. Not very original, but very easy to remember. The third column was the file name. And so this time I'm going to do something a little bit different. Instead of clicking, I'm going to do some dragging. So I drag the plot into the DDS export. Let's choose a keyword token. And again here, I am going to choose that same keyword, the FIL keyword. And in the column, I'm going to type in file name. And we have one more, the actual statistic that we wanted to report. And this time I'm going to drag the marker itself from the histogram where it's sitting. I'm going to drag it into the export to DDS. And what we want is the percent of dated cells in M1. And the column is going to be called percent positive. So this will match up with the column name in the DDS. So I press OK. Now for those of you who are familiar with batch processing in FCS Express, you know that batch processing requires a few things. It requires you to have your plots set up. It requires you to have your batch action set up. It also requires you to have what's called a data list. And the data list has a list of all the files that you're going to run through the batch. And if I open my data list, you can see that I already have ApoMono 1, ApoMono 2, 3, and 4. And you can see that each of these plots is showing ApoMono 001. So that means that the batch is going to be able to run 4 times. And it's going to be able to create 4 rows in the results database with the PDF, the date, the file, and the file name, and the statistic for each of these files. Okay, and I'm going to dock the data list just to keep that in mind. And now we can look at both the batch actions and the data list at the same time. Okay, if the files were not in the data list when I started, I could easily add them just by clicking on the plus sign and then the data file, select the data file window comes up, and you can go from there. So I'll cancel that because we don't need to use that. And now we're all set. We can run the batch. So I click on the left of the batch tab. I'm going to click on the run button. And you can see a few things are happening. There are progress bars going across the screen. And I even got an error result. Now, if you can see, obviously I wasn't intending that, but this gives you a good indication of what it's looking for. So you can see here, an error occurred when completing the batch process. There is no column named blank that holds token data. And the error was for the column %positive. So that's actually very useful. So what I'm going to do is go back, and I know I have to go and edit this column name and put in the column name. And it told me that it was blank, even though it looks like it's not blank. So that's an interesting result. Let's try that, typing that again. And I'm going to try running this again and see if we get a similar error. Okay, so there was a momentary glitch, and I'm going to look at that and see if we can resolve what that problem was. But in the meantime, all I had to do was type it in again and press OK, and now it was uploaded. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is go back into the DDS interface on our website. Let me drag the batch window back over here, and you can see the details. So here we're showing the details. I'm going to close the details of the experiment, and instead click on the middle button here, which is the queries. And the queries is the database term for getting the results. Okay, so you can see that we have something called all results. And again, I can click on the details of this. And that just tells us the explanation for what the results are. But if I click on the actual results here, you can see the list of four rows that were output. Now notice the first time I ran it, because there was an error, nothing got uploaded. But the second time there was no error, so everything got uploaded. And you can see that the %positive is the same for all of them. The date was the same. The file name is incrementing, so you can see the value changed. And the PDF report is here. And of course, if I want to look at any one of these, this is just a normal PDF link. I can click on that. What do I want to do? I want to open this. And it saved my report. Now remember that my report is actually the same layout I was using with the introductory information to the webinar, so that's why you see that. But if I come down all the way to the bottom, you can see that my report was generated with what we were looking at. Okay, so it's very easy to do the PDFs and share the PDFs from your result. And of course, you can do the same thing with PowerPoints as well. So one of the things that I just glossed over very quickly here was that in the queries, you can actually make your own query. So if you're only interested in a certain subset of results, it's very easy to do that. So for example, if I was only interested in results where there was a really high percentage of the %positive, then I could make a new query, and I'm just going to call the query high, and it now asks you to add a condition. So here's a little bit of, it's not quite programming, but it lets you choose what conditions you want. I'm going to say if the %positive is greater than 70, then this is high. Okay, and that is my query. Now in order for anything to be in that, if I just click on this right now, there's nothing in here because there is nothing that is high. Okay, but if I come back to my experiment and then adjust let's adjust the options so that we pause in between iterations. This is a special feature for batch processing, that you can pause between iterations and adjust your markers and gates. Okay, when I run it now, I now have an opportunity to take this marker and make it larger so that it actually is going to be greater than 70. And I'm going to keep it here. And for the fourth one, let's make it smaller again. Okay, so we're done the batch processing. Now I can go back to my experiment on the website. So you see we still have the two queries. First I'm going to go into the all results query, and we now have 8 different results. If I close this, I can now and look at the high query. We now only have 2 results, and that corresponds perfectly with what I did there. So obviously this is a very simple example of doing these queries, but you can use your imagination and see that there's really a lot of different queries you can do to combine to find your results. So after running days, weeks, months worth of experiments, you would have a lot of rows in the results, and you can use these specialized queries to just get details. Now if I go back, I'm going to go back into the all results to show you another feature. You can see we have a download button up here. So if I select all and click on download, what it's going to do is take all of these values, put them into an Excel file, and download them to my computer so I can look at them locally. And it saves it into this all results zip file. And when I open it up, you can see it has 2 things. It has the files and the all results. So the all results XLS file, the Excel file, shows you all of the columns that were reported. And of course you could have done this download just from a subset, but I was doing it from all of them, so it shows you everything. And it also includes the PDF files. And the list of PDF files is what is stored in that subfolder. Okay? So what I've shown you so far is the results and report PDF files, but the DDS actually gives you a great way to archive your data as well. So it's very easy to just so we have to do 2 steps again. We'd have to set up our data services. And I'm going to, in the experiment, I'm going to go into the details of the experiment, and I'm going to add a new column. Now the new column is going to be FCS file. And I press OK. All right. Back in FCS Express, we'll go back to the FCS Express window. In the Batch Actions section, I'm going to add an FCS file. And we'll take it from the first plot. The column is going to be called data file because that's going to match what's in DDS. And the file name, again, we're going to use the FIL keyword. And I'm just going to type it here and hope I don't do any typos. Okay. And now the next time that I run batch processing, it's now not only uploading the previous 4 columns, but it's also uploading the data file. So let's come back to the data services. And close this, and now I'm going to go back into the results and see all results. And you can see that we're actually storing the data files that we were analyzing here. Okay? So this is a great way for you to archive your data. Now this archiving your data in each iteration may not be the most convenient way. You may want to do a bulk upload of your data files. If so, that's also fine. We have an attachments button, and the attachments button will simply give you an opportunity to load up other data files. You can browse, upload, whatever you like. Okay, so there's really just a storage location for whatever you want to put in here, if it's notes about the experiment or if it's the data itself. Okay. Now, so what I've shown you today is the outline of an example of using the DDS services in FCS Express. You can see it's very easy to use. It's plugged right into FCS Express batch processing. It works in the same way as every other kind of batch processing in FCS Express works, with easy drag and drop and one-click running. And you have a very convenient place either on our site or on your own server where you can store that. Okay. One thing that I hadn't shown you about that I was going to mention about our data services is that you can see there's a My Account button here beside the experiment. I'm going to click on the My Account, and this is where it gives you information about what your account is. Okay, and if I wanted to set up my main email address is DDS Demo. My login name, though, is DDS Demo 1. And you can easily set that up by going to the account page here. I'm going to click on that and open that in a new tab. This brings me to the My Account. I log in as DDS Demo this time. And when I log in, it takes me to the My Account page. And then I can modify the product logins. And you can see I have a few. I purchased the data services a couple of times. And for this one, I changed the username to be ddsdemo1@novosoftware.com. Now, why might you be doing that? Well, if you have one account for the data services, but you have several people using it, this gives you an opportunity to just make a generic username and password that many people can use without having to worry about the security of your own account. Now, the other thing that I just wanted to mention before we finish is the various different flavors and configurations of the DDS product. And so to do that, I'm going to come back to, on the main page, you can always go to Product, then Data Services. And if I scroll down to the bottom of this page, you can see the descriptions of the various kinds of storage plans. So the stats-only plan is what comes with FCS Express for free. So when you purchase FCS Express, you have access to use the DDS services, but only upload stats. So this will not let you upload the FCS files as I was showing or the PDFs. And you're limited to creating 20 experiments in this one. We have 3 paid plans, or 2 paid plans on our website and 1 self-hosted. The paid plan for the gallery gives you 100 megabytes of storage with a 20 experiment limit. The warehouse gives you 500 megabytes and the 50 experiment limit. And all of these products are available from our purchase site as well. So if you just go on our website, under purchase, we have the prices you can look at and how to order online. Let me scroll back to the bottom here. And the last kind of plan is what's called the self-hosted plan. Now this is for people who don't want to send their data to our website, who want to keep everything in-house, which is usually a very, for security's sake, obviously you would want to do that. Our website is secure, but many people just want to keep it for themselves, and that's fine. We have several ways we can help you do this. We can send you a computer that has the DDS server pre-installed. We can send you the bits and pieces, the various services that you need to install, and you can do that yourself. Or we can do some combination of those two. And under the Learn More button, you can see more about those details. All right, so this concludes the DDS webinar. If anyone has any questions, please type them in now in the question and answer section. And just to remind you, we always have a lot of resources available on our website. I'm going to be posting this webinar after we finish. It's being recorded and it's going to be posted up to our website. It is going to go to our recorded webinars page. And you can, if you go back to our homepage, you can find the recorded webinars page right here. If you scroll down a little bit under recorded webinars. So I come here and you can see all of the different kinds of webinars that we have available already, the introduction, getting started, high content analysis, and many more. So I see there are no questions. Thank you very much for joining us. If you do have any questions at all, you can always send us email to, let's come back to the main page here. You can always send email to support@denovosoftware.com, and we will be happy to answer any questions that you have. And thank you for attending today, and we look forward to hearing from you soon. Bye-bye.